Good morning. I find that frequently I make better videos when I don't prepare any outline or notes. So sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And I delete about at least a third of the videos I make. But that's neither here nor there. Wanting to talk about empath versus narcissist. Okay, so if an empath sits down with a narcissist, let's say at a coffee shop, planning to spend 30 or 40 minutes together over a cup of coffee, there's a huge difference in that interaction. Okay, so there's a very simple reason why it takes so much more energy to be the narcissist, which I'll get to in a minute. But the empath sits down with no agenda, is not thinking about really anything other than being happy to be with this person that they have a relationship with, being happy within their own self, their own skin. So basically being genuine, being in the moment, and wanting to enjoy the coffee and the interaction. Very, very simple, very, very straightforward, pure, good intentions. It's my experience that empaths really do have, we're all sinful. We all fall into maybe thoughts of pride or envy at times. But so far as our interactions with others, 100% pure. We don't have any ill will towards people, even towards abusive people that have ill will towards us. Because that's low vibration, that's a waste of time, waste of energy. Never act on revenge. If someone goes out of their way, like I got my car keyed the other day, am I gonna really waste time, one, trying to find out who did it, two, plotting and scheming how I can key their car, and three, how I can do it without getting detected? But of course the person would know who did it. It's the person that they just keyed their car, my car, and so they would know it was me getting revenge, and then we would be in this tit for tat that could literally go on for years, and you're stuck in that very negative interaction, that very negative relationship with another person. Who wants to be stuck? One of my favorite adages I've always tried to live by is, a rolling stone gathers no moss. So I avoid courtrooms, never seek revenge, just constantly looking towards the positive landscape of the future, with your pure intentions and your goodness towards your fellow man, and having healthy interactions and just constantly going forward. Anything that's negative just gets left behind. Okay, now in that same scenario at the coffee shop, that 30 or 40 minutes, that narcissist is thinking on so many different levels. One of the primary levels is, how am I coming across? Okay, I have to look good in several different ways. But most importantly, I have to be the one that's dominant, at least in the other person's perception. I have to be the one that's in control. I have to show superiority. So if that other person is going to tell me a story of what happened at work, that's a positive story where the person had a success, maybe an achievement, I have to then relate a similar story, but with even a little caveat that makes it a better achievement. And I might even want to interrupt them before the coup de grace, before the final icing, the whipped cream on top, where they really finish it and say how good it made them feel, or something to that nature. So interrupt, well, that's great, but I have a similar story, and then it's going to be better. So one, how am I coming across? And it has to have all those things of superiority, dominance, control. And then secondly, they're going to totally be watching this other person for any signs any signs that they're not buying the facade of how good I look, of how good I am, on how superior I am. So any little raising of the mouth, any looking down with kind of like shame towards me, that they see that I'm trying to be manipulative or trying to use one-upmanship, any of those little things, little tiny things, can fracture my very, very sensitive and fragile ego. So any little things that don't show a total buy-in of what I'm putting forth, this image of super intelligence, super in control, super dominant, super superiority, any feedback, doesn't have to be words, but words are worse. If you say, I'm not buying that, we're not in competition, anything like that, major narcissistic injury. So, my fault dealing with these individuals is that I often took it too personal. I was thinking this person's only like this with me. They only have to dominate me. They only have to have control of me, which is completely wrong. They're like this with everyone. If you notice, their friends aren't real friends. They're people that are buying into the facade on some level or another, and they're saying to themselves, I'm going to support the facade because you really are pretty cool. Even though you have this one-upmanship, you've always got to be, I can't hurt this fragile ego of yours. So I'm going to fawn. I'm going to compliment. I'm going to make sure that nothing on my face shows any discord with what you're presenting. I'm on board. So they're what they call flying monkeys. They're enablers. They're supporters of this false persona that's being represented. So it's really interesting that you have these individuals that are willing to support a real falsity, a real falsehood, I guess would be a better word, when they actually frequently see through the facade, and it's a lie, and they see through the lie, and yet they're willing to buy into it because they see that person very attractive in one way or another, very manicured, good looking, charming, confident. So they want to be seen with this false persona because in their mind, they've done a good job. They've really polished themselves. And like a shiny piece of metal, it's attractive to them. So even though they're actually better than the narcissist, because the narcissist on some level actually believes that lie that they're presenting to the world, because it's much easier to present it if you believe it, right? Like a used car salesman, You've probably got two groups. One that knows that this car's a jalopy, and they're layering on layers and layers of falsehoods to sell it for the price that they want. Or they can actually believe that this car really is good. I mean, you've got to understand, it's got 180,000, so it's not perfect, but this engine, in my opinion, is tight, and yeah, it's got roll-up windows, because it's 20 years old. Yeah, the window on the passenger side has a crack in it, but I literally, honestly believe that the engine's pretty tight for a car that's got 180,000. Whoever owned this car changed the oil on time, changed the oil filters on time, got regular maintenance. And if they can believe that, they're a better used car salesman than the one that doesn't actually believe what he's saying. So denial comes in. I need to believe this false persona in order to be a good used car salesman or to be a good false friend. So it's really, really interesting. But to go back to what I said in the beginning, you can really see how one person would leave that 40-minute interaction tired, exhausted, and then they have to go to work. But they're going to be interacting with people all day long, and they're going to come home exhausted. And then in the morning, they have to go through that difficult practice of remembering, what lies have I been telling? What is my persona again? Where the other person just wakes up, yawns, brushes his teeth, all happy-go-lucky, splashes some water on his face, and is ready to go out and just interact with people all day long with no facade, no effort. Just, hey, here I am. This is me. So we have to feel bad for these individuals, because both people went through trauma, but one person has a very much happier existence, being happier in themselves, in their own skin, not having to put on a 30-minute makeup every morning and construe a whole face of makeup, which is their false persona. And the other one always being behind the 8 ball, worried about how are they coming off, trying to convince themselves of believing the facade so that it's convincible and believable. So you don't have to stay around them, because they do get off, most of them, on hurting you and getting a sense of power off of being able to just kind of get you in the ribs, aha. The Bible, even in the Psalms, always, and not even only the Psalms, talks about this aha, that moment where they, I gotcha, I outsmarted you, I'm better than you, I hurt you, I took 5 different steps to see that hurt in your face, and I finally got to see that, ha ha. I'm a little animated this morning, but I hope that was interesting. I hope it resonated. Please hit like or dislike, leave a comment, and I will talk to you later. God bless.